Thanks for stopping in with us here at Warehouse and Operations as a Career. I'm Marty, and I hope you enjoy today's episode, and something we talk about here will bring some value to your career. We've had some really good topic suggestions and questions over the last several weeks, and we'll try and talk to all of them this quarter. And keep those things coming in. Email host at warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com with your thoughts. We love all the sharing that's going on. I attended a class that was presented by our WAOC safety friend Joe this week on blood-borne pathogens, and it got me to thinking about the different orientations we go through as applicants, which kind of made me think of all the things us as warehouse or operations associates really need to know to advance within our careers. I know we talk a lot about what companies do or should be doing and teaching us as new hires, but being honest, I'm hearing and finding that some hiring agents are prone to just plug us in and point to our task. I don't feel that really helps them as employers, and I know it doesn't help us as employees with our long-term careers. If you're a weekly listener, you know how I feel about operations. What other industry can offer so many positions and opportunities for us to advance within? I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but I know many individuals that started out in a general labor position and worked their way up and into another field or department, or, are now leading their ops teams as VPs, general managers, or presidents of their own organizations. Several of my warehousing peers branched off into merchandising, accounting, building maintenance, and transportation. I know one guy that left the warehouse for a career in merchandising and then on to run his own house as its president. Today, let's do a little of that self-education I'm so fond of and talk about some of the things our bosses should teach us and be helping us with. So Joe's bloodborne pathogen class taught me to think and really plan ahead. I guess to be prepared is a good way to say it. He explained to us, and I summarize here of course, 29 CFR 1910.1030 applies to all occupational exposure to blood or other potentially infectious materials. Occupational exposure means reasonably anticipated skin, eye, mucous membrane, etc. type contact with blood or other potentially infectious materials that may result from the performance of an employee's duties. It's important for us to know that human blood can contain many different pathogens, which means organisms that cause disease, including Hepatitis B, Hepatitis C, and the HIV virus. Exposure can take place either by getting stuck with needles or something sharp or from a splash of blood to the face, eyes, or other membranes, or even exposure to our hands when we have cuts, scratches, or chapped hands even. The job of cleaning up a spill should definitely be limited only to those persons who are properly trained. If an untrained person encounters blood, they should limit access to the area immediately and find someone to give them a hand that is trained. There's some really good information online if you'd like to learn more about precautions and preventions. In our industry, it's very possible we'll experience cut fingers and injuries within our careers, and I feel this knowledge is really important and useful. Another thing that I'd like to see explained to us as a new hire are those facility-specific things like the fire evacuation plans, the emergency weather planning, and any fire extinguisher policies, and of course where the SDS books are located. Oh, and I'd like to see us to be familiar with the emergency showers and eye wash stations too. I hope we all do ask or know to ask for the safety data sheets books location. Remember, those are the sheets with the safety information on every chemical that's stored at our facilities. Its makeup, flashpoints, etc. 29 CFR 1910.1200 requires that the chemical manufacturer, distributor, or importer provide safety data sheets, formerly MSDSs or material safety data sheets, for each hazardous chemical to the downstream users to communicate information on its hazards. The information we'll find on the individual sheets are required to be presented in a consistent, user-friendly 16-section format. The important sections for us, or to me anyway, are Section 4, the first aid measures, and Section 8, which defines or explains exposure controls, personal protection. These days, it's required that every sheet is in the same format and the information is placed at the same place on every page. You may know these sheets as MSDS sheets. I think the name was changed back in 2012. Well, it's really more than just a name change. It all came about with the HAZCOM Act of 2012, and I think it was implemented in 2015. It's much better defined for us, the employee, now. I'll include a link in today's show notes to a pretty good page from osha.gov, and they pretty much explain the reg. It's a pretty quick read, and you'll probably find it fairly interesting. If you haven't seen a sheet before, be sure to go to your supervisor and ask them to show you one. I feel it's important that every warehouse employee can read one. You just never know what can happen. Another thing we need to know or understand are the GMPs, at least the Warehousing 101 version of them. I feel it's kind of common sense, but almost every warehouse's general maintenance practices will mention something like no eating in the warehouse, no gum or candy in the warehouse, no personal food items in the warehouse. This one's pretty standard. Immediately report all damages and spillage. Clean up spills immediately. Never stand pallets on their sides. And of course, I think every GMP ever written, states something like never place product on the floor. Do not step on cases or boxes. Oh, this is a good one for distractions. No cell phone usage in the warehouse. Now, every warehouse will have its own rules and procedures, and I think it's important that we ask what they are, if our hiring agents hasn't covered them with us. I don't really think it's a problem for us to ask for a printed copy. We're going to be expected to follow them, so I'd go ahead and ask for them. What better way to get noticed by our management team than to bring up a rule or two that they're supposed to be enforcing? I think I mentioned our evacuation routes a little earlier. I want to know how to get out of the building in an emergency and know where to go, so I can be counted and told when I can go back to work. I remember once when I was an order selector and I was on ABC pay or production pay at the time. There was a false alarm, like a fire alarm, and we all had to go outside. And once it was cleared, our fire captain wouldn't let us go back in and start pulling until he could account for every head. Now, one or two of the guys didn't know where to go to the staging areas for our group, and it was costing me money. Going forward, I made sure all of our team members knew where to go. I hope it goes without saying, but I think our company's safety procedures and processes should be covered with us as new hires also. I think or hope that most of our new employers are covering this type of information with us, but there again, we as employees have to own some of that responsibility also. These procedures are simply there to, help keep us safe and keep our teams and crews safe. If they're not being reviewed with us, let's be sure and bring them up. I assure you, we can lose our jobs or get hurt by not knowing them, and it's another opportunity for us to get noticed by our management team by asking and wanting to be knowledgeable. Again, their responsibility is to enforce those rules, so I feel that they'll appreciate our attention to them. One other thing we need to know and understand is our position or our new job. Every task has its own job description, and its SOPs or standard operational procedures should be thoroughly explained to us, and I think we should ask for them in writing also. SOPs will help get us up to speed, and our productivity will start off much quicker if we follow them. Remember, our SOP will walk us through every step of our position. They can kind of go something like punch in, suit up, sign out and pre-trip our equipment, turn in our pre-trip sheet to maintenance, attend the startup pre-shift meetings, perform our pre-shift exercises and stretching, drive to pallet storage area, picking out empty selection pallets, pull down the first batch, go to the first selection aisle and start the batch, complete the batch and stage at the proper door to be loaded. They've been put in place to aid us in our training, and as new employees, we should really be using them. It's another one of those things I feel is perfectly all right to ask for. Again, I believe our bosses will notice us, know that we're taking our job seriously, and will help to see to it that we succeed. It's in their best interest. They need us to be successful. We've talked about new hire orientation several times here at WAOC, mostly about what to expect, maybe, but I feel it's one of those things we as employees shoulder a little responsibility. We've talked about the importance of our resume, acing our interviews, and understanding our onboarding process with human resources and benefits. Those are really our responsibility, and I think that responsibility continues with us right on to the job itself. Our careers are our responsibility, right? And I feel understanding our training, the rules and expectations of our jobs, and all the safety procedures is our best shot, and really the first step towards our career. Well, there's a couple of facts and a few of my opinions or experiences for the day. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Check out the links I've added to today's show notes on our website, and please like and follow our Facebook and Twitter feeds. We're sharing thoughts there throughout the week, and they're a great place to share your experiences with the group. Thanks for checking in with us today, and let's all be sure to speak up at this week's startup meetings. Throw out a safety point to the crew, and help keep each other incident-free.